I almost
I don't have to.
I almost forgot to hit start recording. So for the people watching this in the future, thank the beer for reminding me to hit record.
Thank the beer. Uh,
Well, welcome. Welcome to this second stream. The second time I've decided to open my lovely desk up to the world. Um, as people who caught the no doubt very quick, very quick flash card saying that we were live, which reminds me, I should probably post something on Twitter about being live so that people know what it is I'm doing right now.
I'll post something on Spectrum here.
Yeah, so this being the second time we're going live, it's one of those things where I I enjoy it, but obviously, like if you do streaming, you have to enjoy it, but there's also another component of it to where you go, is this something I want to do regularly? And I don't think this is something I really want to do regularly. It's very time consuming.
Yeah,
um,
very much so.
people like often criticize streamers like, oh, you have to turn on a microphone and go sit down and play video games, but in reality, in viewing, following a number of streamers myself, it seems like it's quite a time consuming proposition. And for me, if it's not something that I'm actively like gonna make into something professional, then it's not something I really want to be using a ton of my time on.
Yeah,
Especially when I have to build these models for everyone. So let's see, or just don't let me lie. There we go. There we go. Twitter.
all
So
right. Let's see those
as you know, today's the task for today is to build the Xian Nox. This was a model that I built or that I designed a while ago. I want to say 2017. Might have been 2018. I can't exactly remember. Um, it's actually a model that if you watch, uh, what used to be, crap, what was it called? It's Star Citizen Live now, but
Oh,
um,
on
calling
the
all
verse?
or
Oh, calling all
no,
devs
reverse
or
the verse. It was reverse the verse. That's right.
oh yeah,
The
those good old.
the live show on Fridays. You'll notice on occasion that one of my Dragonfly models and one of my Nox models make it to the table. So if you see a Nox on the table, that was one that is this model. Um, but that is one that I sent CIG several years ago, and they've certainly gotten their mileage out of it because
Yes,
see it
it's been
very
on everything.
I
Yeah,
see
it's
it
on
quite
everything.
often on um, their stream. So it's kind of cool to see that. I have been thinking of sending them more models. It's one of those things where as time goes on, I get better and better at models, and they get higher and higher quality. And I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna send CIG something, I want it to be this higher quality model of mine. But then at that point, I go, okay, well, now I need to make more models,
It's just
and
sitting there,
I
pump
only
faking, pump
only
faking, pump faking.
crap, didn't mean for that to come up. I was trying to get my I was trying to get my stream address to post it. I'm not good at this. If anyone has
Pro level here,
figured that,
guys.
yeah,
Pro
pro level streamer. I'm the next ninja. If you don't know, we're gonna be playing some Fortnite here real soon. So, but yeah, so it's real nice that that they've been showing those models off. And I want to keep building them, but obviously I've slowed down a little bit this past year. Just lots of personal stuff's come up, and time constraints and whatnot. So, ideally, I would be at a place where money didn't matter and I could just sit down and make models all day. But we all know that that's living an untenable dream. So,
What world do you live in, Race Maiden?
yeah, I live in the world where money is free.
Grows on trees, literally.
So what's new in Canada? How's the frozen north going?
Well, it was nice and warm the last few days, and we're currently having freezing rain right now. So yeah, good
Oh,
times.
nice, nice. Yeah, I was commenting the other day that, or it was yesterday. I was walking out of work and I'm like, it's like 55 degrees Fahrenheit, freedom units. Um,
Freedom. Yeah, we
but
don't have freedom units
yeah,
up here.
it was like 55 degrees Fahrenheit here, and it felt like spring. And I'm like, good, spring's around the corner. I'm tired of this dark, dreary day and rain. And
Yeah,
I mean, we got a lot of rain to go through, but I much prefer, uh, warm rain than cold rain, if that makes any
yeah.
sense. So,
No, absolutely.
so,
Yeah. No,
um,
spring doesn't come until mid-April here, really.
mm, mm, I could see that.
Yeah,
Okay.
sometimes May, so.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's get started on this model. So this model is relatively simple. This model was kind of a change in was a shift in how I traditionally did models. As you can see, just like based on what you're seeing in the model itself, as well as what I'm holding, there's a lot of detail to this model. And one of my styles is to, as you can see in kind of the background of the stream, is that I like to take these, take a ship from Star Citizen and make it into, this kind of half wood, half 3D printed style. And one of the things you have to balance is whether or not that wood style is going to reduce. You have to balance the wood reducing detail. And when I sat down to do this, there's a lot of interesting detail on the Nox that I didn't want to ruin. I didn't want it to go away. And so, as you can see from the finished product in the model view, um, I tried to kind of do this hybrid where the wood panels are really showing you the outer skin, while a lot of the interesting, detailed parts are still exposed underneath. So like I said, putting this model together is really not hard. It's not a ton of pieces, as you can see from what's sitting in front of me. Um, but walking through putting it together should show you, some of the techniques I did to make this put togetherable. And one of the things we'll run into is that, at least when it comes to wood glue doesn't bond wood and 3D printing together very well. So you kind of have to take your time and, you know, use caution. So the first thing I've done, and the reason I did it was, so the first thing I did was glue these three pieces together. So there's two halves, here and here, and then there's a wooden rib in the center. And I glued those last night and put clamps on it and let it dry overnight. And I did that because this wood, especially in larger chunks, is not 100% flat. And so, if I were to take these two halves, smush them together with some glue, it would dry with a giant hole in it. So just to alleviate the part where, I wanted that to fully cure before I really handled it, I glued it, clamped it, and just let it dry overnight. So you really didn't miss a step other than me slapping two pieces of printing on a similar
See, I'm already lost
silhouette.
now. I'm already lost.
Well, don't worry, it's gonna get worse. Um, so as you can see, we pretty much have like the basic shape of the Nox already done. But
Look at that, it's complete.
so the most of what we're doing for the remainder of this is putting body panels on and building the little pods in the back. So the way I start this, I always start building it by doing the top here. So let's get out. Today we're using some Tight Bond original wood glue. This stuff holds pretty well. I'm a fan. Plus, it comes in a container that lasts for several years because there's just a ton of it in here.
Yeah, it looks like a lot.
So okay, where's a good place to do this? You know, I swapped the webcams on accident, so this isn't the cam that did the models last time. As time goes on, I don't think this camera is as good at focusing as the other one is. So um, I will need to put like a sticker on this camera so that I know not to use it for this in the future. So if we're over here in the model, one of the things I need to figure out here really quick is, oh yeah, okay, ignore the color shift. Yeah, just ignore that. So one of the things we're going to do here is this top piece has no locating feature. So where it goes front to back on here, you kind of got to eyeball it. And that's why we're going to work through these front panels here in somewhat quick succession, because as the glue is wet, you can still move them around. And that's good for us to kind of put a couple panels on and find our final location for this piece. Because obviously, as you can see, in the front you have this overhang here, which creates that cavity. And then on the back, this comes off the 3D printing and creates kind of that cockpit cavity as well. So we're gonna let this, can't talk. We're gonna put this guy on here.
Words can't describe it anyway. So.
It's too magnificent.
Exactly.
So we're gonna look at this, and we're just gonna eyeball it for now. We're gonna eyeball it to about right. Eyeball it to about right there. Give it a little bit of pressure. Let it kind of let it find where it wants to rest. And one of the things I did was I put the glue on that wooden rib, and like I mentioned earlier, the wood glue is good between wood, and so having that connection to the wooden rib is a lot better than the connection to the 3D printing. So
very smart.
We're gonna shoot. Okay, so we're gonna leave that guy there, and then we're just gonna start building up one side. So the first thing we're gonna do is add the top piece or the top side panel that I'm still trying to get this straight. There we go. We're going to add the top side piece. So in this particular model, let me add everything back. So we got this side piece right here. And it looks like it goes in this orientation. So we're gonna add. So one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add glue to the piece I'm gluing down to. So right here, but I'm also gonna add a little bit of glue between the two wooden pieces, and that's just gonna give us kind of that temporary holding strength. Because again, the wood to wood interaction is way stronger than the wood to printed material. Oh, I'm doing this off screen. I apologize. I need to be more on screen, or else this is going to be boring to watch. So okay, whoops. So we're gonna pop that guy right there. Now, one of the things that needs to be watched out for is there's kind of a little bit of a compound corner right here. So as you can see in the model, I kind of, this front section is sloped, and I kind of fake it with these weird cuts on these pieces. And so one of the things I have to do is make sure that I'm replicating this, or else it's going to look weird. So at this point, I think I got this one on here pretty good. I like where it's landed for the most part. One of the things you have to watch out for is back here. So there's another piece that will end up going in this cavity right here, and probably can't show it very well, but there's a little bit of a lip, and this piece has to land behind it so that you got room to put that guy on it in the future. But where we landed here, I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, we're following the model, and as long as you've got that cavity going here in the front, you should be a-okay. So So now that we got that piece on, let's go down the body and put on our uh, Microtech branded um, wood piece. This is going to make up the side of this guy. And there should be... Getting glue all over
So
myself.
Citizen Lou would like to know. Well, I kind of answered, but if you want to maybe explain a little bit more, is this a kit or a one-off?
So these are models that I've designed myself. I've whoops, I hit the camera on accident. Um, I have done my best to make these into kits, even though they're not something I sell. I don't have a license from CIG to sell these for various intellectual property reasons. Um, it's something that it's a long history with me and these models and intellectual property and everything, but just getting down to the point that I think that should the opportunity present itself to make models of this type and provide them to the community, that would be something that I would be interested in doing. But at this point in time, I don't have any like agreement with CIG to do that. So yeah, as much as I would love to share it with people, it's probably not something you're going to get your hands on. That being said, up until last year, up until late 2018, most of the models that I had done to that point um, were the I put the design files up online. So this was one of them. So if you wanted to build one of these, um, all you have to do is track down the design files and 3D print the blue parts and find somebody to laser cut the wood parts and make your own. I've met a number of people that have built my models before. One guy's built a full glaive. He did a really good job on it. My glaive's sitting back there somewhere. So, um, yeah,
It's a rather large glaive too. It's like what, a couple feet in size? It's huge.
I think it's not quite 2 feet in length. Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where uh, I'd love to share it, but the law gets in the way sometimes. All right, so
Yes.
continuing on with this guy. So we are working our way down these side panels right here. And the last one we got here is this little hook piece on the bottom. So this guy right here, you can tell what it is because it's got a little hook thing at the bottom. And we're going to attach that, and this is going to make up the final component of our front fairing here. Let's see. Okay. So we got our glue on there, and I need to move my phone. I'm fighting where I put down the glue. So we're just gonna slide this guy up in here and wipe the glue off. And this should make up the final piece of our Nox front. Let's see if that's where we want it. Cool. I think that's where we want it to live, so we'll it's a little more it's a little farther forward than I expected, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. So there we go. So that's going to make up the outer front casing of our Nox, and I apologize if I'm not showing this to everyone. It's I need to find a better place for the model camera itself, because I work looking at it from this ang- uh, uh, this angle, and the camera's over here, so it's a learning experience. So while this side is drying still, we're going to work at building up some of the interior stuff here. One of the pieces we're going to add is this kind of facade piece that goes in here, and it should fit in its own little 3D printer cradle. You can tell that there's some features in here meant to cradle it. I can show that actually in the model right here. Um, so this piece just needs a little bit of glue and be slapped in place. Let's see. And there we go.
So when you're building these models, do you often try to do stuff like this where you incorporate features on the plastic part to complement the wood parts?
Yeah, so some models more than others, obviously, but I try to do my best to make kind of interlocking tabs and features in the plastic and the wood so that they fit together in a way that makes sense and is easy. Because like if I were to do this again today, I would probably add some sort of feature that locked this in place, and that would actually be pretty easy to do because I could easily make a cutout for a tab on top here. And obviously, you'd say, well, you know, now you have a cutout and it's going to look unsightly, but we have this windshield that's going to eventually go on the top here, and that would cover
Yeah.
that up. Um, so that's definitely something that I could add in the future to make this thing easier to go together. Um, and it's stuff that I look out for now, since I've been doing this for so long. Um, all right, so let's do these two pieces. So we've got these two little facade pieces here. They kind of make up a weird corner of the ship, if you will. Um, so we're gonna find this piece, the uh, little random curvy piece, and then we also have this. Um, I don't know. They're pieces. I'm bad at I'm bad at geometric names.
This
Um,
random piece with this curve.
But yeah, basically, I mean, I've thought about how to put this stuff together, you know, how to teach people. If the time ever came to do my own kits, and I'm a big fan of like the IKEA style of instruction manual that's just basically line art with lines drawn to point to everything. And I think that would work really good for this kind of stuff because it's simple. Obviously you have to build for your audience. So, um, if you're intending for a model to be, my first model, it snaps together in 10 pieces, then, you're going to build the model to be pretty bulletproof at that point. So to where your instruction manuals it really isn't going to be, the end all be all. And I messed this piece up. So we're going to scrape that glue off and hopefully hope for the best. So what just happened is the piece that I grabbed, I just realized suffered from some laser overburn. And what that is um, I was kind of in a hurry last night when I got these parts out, and I didn't do a good job of setting them up in the laser. And what happens is if you don't set up the laser right, the parts can fall down from where they're being cut. And if they fall down, they'll move a little bit. And if they move and the laser comes by, now the laser is on top of it. So what you can see on this part is that there are these two burn marks. And that's because this part fell down out of the wood piece it was being cut at, shifted off of its track, and then got caught by the laser going through it. So, um, so
They are now battle marks from a
yeah.
race.
Well, so I just grabbed the one from the other side because I mean one side's clean and one side's marked. So this piece will just be hidden on the other side and no one will know any different. My mistakes will be covered.
Nice, very nice.
so, um, so yeah, I think we're pretty close to being done with the front section on this side. Um, Is there anything you want to see really quick before I flip it over?
I think it.
Okay.
No, yep. I
Okay.
think it looks
So
good.
I think this side has dried enough to where I'm going to flip it over and uh, expose the other side. One of the things we're going to, so we have two pieces we have to concern ourselves with at this point. And they're these two pieces, one of which is the nose cap. So the nose cap fits into this hole and exists as a little facade piece. And we're going to glue that guy right now. I just realized that I could almost be like the Bob Ross of models. You know, it's like why don't we
Happy
just
accident here.
why don't we
Eh?
just glue this piece
Stream.
together and take your time. You know, it's it's up to you. If you don't want to glue that piece right there, then you don't have to. You know, I'm not here to tell you what it is or where to glue your model pieces together. So
Comes out all deformed. It's like, hey,
it's beautiful.
why
It's
does it look like a Vandal ship all of
it
a sudden?
it looks like the Hornet the way Chris Roberts intended.
There
There we
you
go.
go.
Okay, so we're sliding this piece in there, and it's a little cockeyed. There it is. Okay, cool. Okay, so we slid this piece in, and we have our little cap in there, and that'll dry and be the end of our ship. So we're gonna set this guy down, and the other cross piece we have to concern ourselves with is this guy, and it's gonna go right here on the bottom. And actually, you know, I'm gonna glue that right now while I'm thinking about it. So let's just, you know, I tried being a professional model maker by getting like I've watched people put models together where they get the like syringe the syringe bottles, and I see Citizen Lou actually just asked a really good question.
Yes.
So Citizen Lou asked if the 3D printed portion is based off of CIG's model, and so there's two answers to that. The first, the majority of the models that I have done, the answer is no. I typically will remodel CIG's portion because going through the effort of fixing kind of they're not inaccuracies. It's not poor modeling. It's modeling for video games, and modeling for video games and modeling for engineering and 3D printing are two different realms. And so I'm basically fixing I'm basically so you have one of two options. You can either take what CIG has and repair it, make it solid, remove kind of, you know, bits and bobs that you really don't care about 3D printing because it's too small for the resolution of your printer anyways, or you remodel it. I've taken the route of remodeling 99% of the stuff that I've come across. So all of this detail here is all hand modeled by me. There's only a couple instances where that's not the case. My early P52 and P72 models, the Merlin and the Archimedes, the engine and intake stack on that is actually a repaired and modified CIG model. And then I believe there's one more instance, and I can't remember exactly which model that was, but I think I repaired and used the cockpit section of. Oh yeah, it was the glaive. So the cockpit section of the glaive that I did is what am I saying? Is CIG's model, and actually I can grab that really quick. One sec. I can put my headphones on somehow. So this is the glaive, and I'll try to hold it up to the other camera so you guys can see it. So this is the glaive that I did. It's what will become the old model of the glaive at this point. But as you can see, there's a lot going on here. But one of the things that I reused from CIG was the model of the cockpit There was just no way I was going to be able to model that in a same amount of time. But as you can see, this guy's pretty big. This is one of the few models I keep in my room just because I really like it, and it has been one of my favorite ships for a long time. Um, but whoops,
Quite impressive. It's
yeah.
huge.
So yeah, lots of detail on it. I wanted to do this model from the very beginning, but the biggest problem I ran into was, at least when I started, I didn't really have the technique down. One of the things I was worried about is these wings. Like, these wings are big and heavy, and they really aren't being supported by a whole lot, especially in like the real thing in the game. And so I had to kind of figure out how I wanted to do this. And once I figured it out, it went together pretty quickly. But um, I will eventually do. I'll eventually do the reworked Vandal ships because I really want to do the glaive and the blade and the stinger and have them all up on the wall together. So let me put this guy down.
How many hours did that take you to put together?
Um, I don't. So funny story. The glaive I put together at work. um, I recognized that there was going to be a lot of like gluing and letting it set because, as you can see, there's a lot of pieces that hang, and so I wanted to glue them, let them cure before I put the next pieces on. And so I think it was over like a winter break when we were just really slow, and I took the whole model in and like glued a couple pieces, went back to work, worked for like 45 minutes, glued a couple pieces, went back to work, and it worked in the end.
Very nice.
Yeah, just one of those things that. Yes, Citizen Lou, I am a Xeno lover. I have my own complement of Vandal ships in game, so should CIG release more of them, my wallet will become much lighter and I will be poor. And I will be streaming to you next time, potentially from like
An underpass.
my PC will be replaced by one of those like kids leapfrog PCs.
Oh,
It'll
jeez.
be like a 320 by 240 camera and
That's good.
all right, so let's keep going on this guy. So now that we've built up kind of the two intersecting pieces, let's do the same thing on the other side. We're basically doing the outside panels. Oops. I don't know why I closed this, but there we go. Um, so yeah, so I'm interested to see what CIG does with the reworked Vandal ships, because they've shown them off. We know they exist now, and there's been some discussion as to some people seem to think that CIG is not going to give them to us. Like, it's not going to become the if you own a glaive, you're not going to get the reworked ship. It's going to be something old. And um, a lot of times people cite the F7A. It's the new Hornet, but people don't get it or aren't gonna get it because it's military. But I don't think that's the case with the glaive. And the reason I think that is the reason I think that with um, the reason I think that with the scythe and the glaive is because the old glaive and scythe models, the models in game right now, are terrible. Like, you use them and they're not up to any of CIG standards. They don't match any of the Vandal style guide now. They're bug ridden. The interiors are very low quality. It's not something that CIG has said in the past that they do not want to have to maintain multiple ships, and that's kind of one of the reasons why they've backed off from making promises of saying, "Oh, we'll people can have, if people love the old Cutlass, we'll make like a vintage model in game." And it's like, if they're going to do that, it's going to be way after release, because the problem is that the more ships you have in game, the more you have to maintain. And we've seen CIG make several attempts to unify ships. The Idris is a great version of that. The Idris P and the Idris M are now unified. They have the same hard points. And that's because CIG doesn't want to have to maintain two separate models, because if you have bugs on one, you have to go search for bugs on the other. But if you're linking from the same model, you don't have to, you fix the bug once and it works for everything. So um, I think they're going to go down the path of, they're going to give us the new glaive because they don't want to have to sit there and maintain an old glaive that's not up to any of their specs. It doesn't use any of their new tech, while the new one does all their, is linked to all of their new stuff. So that's just kind of my rant on it. And I'm hopeful that they give us the new one. I mean, I bought back my glaive just because I was excited for the new one, and I
That sounds like pretty reasonable. Like, yeah, that sounds like it happened.
yeah. Well, I
That's a
mean,
good argument on it, I think.
I mean, I argued for the longest time that they were reworking the Vandal stuff. Like, even before they showed it to us, I was like, they have to. The ship does not meet any of CIG's guidelines. And the other thing, the thing that kind of surprised, well, the thing that I had thought about was that they were going to differentiate the glaive and the scythe, because as much as I like this idea that the glaive and the scythe kind of fall under the same model, they really are different. They're different in lore, and in game right now, they're not different enough to make you think that they're actually the way lore says they
Yeah,
are.
exactly. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you play with it in game and you go, there's got to be something behind the scenes. And um, I look forward to when they do a huge dump of crap into the PU, because that's going to add just a ton of content for people to play with. I mean, you've got people. One of the exciting things, I think, is that you've got people now that steal the the NPC hammerheads and cutlasses and whatnot and go for joyrides. But when you think about it, they showed off the what we think are the shipjacker stuff. That's going to be awesome if the shipjacker stuff gets into the PU, because people are going to start
Very much.
stealing shipjacker ships, and now we're going to start seeing pictures of those flying around, and just times are looking up. Times are looking good for this game. As long as everything else.
Next 2 years are gonna be very exciting. Next year and
Hopefully
next
they
2 years.
will be. I think that happens in 2025. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so long.
It's I don't really care when they release. If you're backing this game, you're backing. You need to understand that you're backing a bit of an adventure. And the fact that you can pay what, 35 $45 for a game package now, and you get a major update every quarter. You get minor patches. You get new content. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a full fledged game, but you've paid $45 for something that you get to experiment with until it launches, and then you get a full game afterwards. It's
Yeah,
it,
it's a journey.
yeah, it's a journey. It's very unique. There's not many games that come close to what Star Citizen is doing, and you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, in the community, absolutely. Uh, just everybody that we know, and everybody's experiences, what they contribute, how many brilliant minds are doing things to make the community even better. Like that alone is almost worth the experience
Yeah.
to me. So
All right. So we're just about done with the other side. So I'm basically doing the exact same thing we did on the first side, on the second side. So attaching these side pieces and gluing them on. And with this piece, we should be pretty much done. We should be pretty much done with the front end on this thing. There are two pieces that we'll need to. I may add them last. It's these kind of facade pieces here on the side.
Okay.
Like I said, I may add them last. They're not. They just kind of float there, and so you can do them last. So what we're gonna do now is this 5-panel stack up here on the ass end of the ship, and it's a lot like the um, it's a lot like the front of the ship was. We're gonna start with the top piece, and then do the 2 pieces on the side. And where the top piece lies is kind of what dictates where the other pieces go. So, and as you can kind of see, the top piece is going to sit and stick off the tail just a tiny amount. And so that'll kind of give us a visual indicator of where this guy is going to go. So let's, I know I'm not gluing on camera. I might do a wider camera next time I do this, just so I don't have to, so I can concentrate less on where my hands are and more on making sure I'm not screwing up this model. All right, so got that top guy on there. Now let's see if this is kind of in the position we want. So as you can see, it sticks off the rear just a little bit, and I think we'll put it right there. So now all I need to do is center this guy. And another visual indicator is that there's a little bit of overhang here. So if you can see down here, you can see there's a little bit of overhang as well, and that kind of gives you a visual idea where this piece goes.
Oh, cool. So detailed and wow.
So let's see if that's centered. There we go. I think that's pretty well centered. So, all right. So the next pieces, we have these next ribs. These little squiggly lines that are etched in here. So this model has existed in two sizes. This kind of like 1/23 scale size, and then a half scale size. That originally I originally made a keychain or keyring like thing for myself, and then ultimately that became just a standard kind of size model that I made, because the small Nox is nice, it travels well if you want to show people it, it sits well on a shelf. One of the things I quickly ran into is that I wanted to build big models, but big models require more space to store. So finding room for all of my models was a bit of a chore in the beginning. But one day I will live in a house with just tons of room, and I'll set up all my models, and I'll just be a kid in a candy store.
Very nice.
Okay.
So the smaller models, um, so there's a lot of detailed pieces on this big one.
Yep.
Now, are they just combined as one
Nope.
piece on the small models?
Nope.
No?
The smaller model is the exact same pieces. It's just half the size.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Delicate applications of glue is required. There aren't like some of the facade like engraving lines aren't on the small pieces just because it gets so small that you're not you're not going to see them anyways. So okay, so we finally do our final side pieces. So we got these little like jagged cut side pieces that go on here, and we're actually cruising through this model pretty well. I think we'll hit right about an hour of building the model. We started like 10 or so minutes late, but I think an hour is probably a good time to, or a good estimate of time to build one of these. It's amazing how much
A lot of patience too, right? Like, I mean, you got to be calm, collected, and just take your time. Like Bob Ross, right?
Yes. If there's anything that Rice Maiden Ross can tell you, it's that you won't you can't make mistakes in building your models. You can only make models unique to you.
There you go.
Put that on a box and put that on a shirt and sell it. uh, but yeah, it's nice doing these simpler models because I mean, if I was here doing some of the more complex models I've ever done, we'd be here for a while. I think the uh, the prowler was easily my longest model to put together. That was probably a good like solid 10 hours of me just gluing wood together. Um,
Oof.
and yeah, I can say for a fact um, that was an
Uh,
experience I didn't want to relive. The biggest problem with the Prowler was it was before my kind of epiphany of design to where I started using a lot of 3D printing as my supports instead of just detailed parts. Um, because like just slapping panels on these parts is really easy and it produces a final shape. The Prowler, its big, like, complex body, has no 3D printing inside of it. It is all a wooden skeleton that I had to build by, like, hand. And it was just constantly checking the model, making sure it was in the right place. And each side is off by, like, a quarter of an inch max. And I was
wow.
entirely blown away by the fact that I got it so close on each side because I was so worried that putting it together, I'm like, I hope to God that these two sides line up and come together. So, all right. Well, that was the tail section. Nice and easy. Goes together pretty quickly. So, things we have left. We have these two pieces here, which are the facade pieces here on the side. And then we have these pieces, which make up the rear pods. And what we're going to do is we're gonna attach the pods first before we glue to them, so that they're well. Actually, so I'm gonna put the windshield on first. So I'm gonna take this guy, smear a little bit of glue on there, and as you can see in the model, this guy just sticks right here and hangs off a little bit. So let's get this guy right there. Whoa, boy, that slid. And as you can see, the wood to 3D printing interface is a little slick, so this piece decided to skate around as if it was on ice. Let's see. Do we got? Is that centered? No. So I'm a little anal when it comes to these like gluing parts. If they're not perfect, I can go down the rabbit hole of just spending like 10 minutes being like, is that straight? Is it not? I'm gonna show the camera. Okay. Oh, that doesn't look straight on camera. That bugs me. Let's see. It could just be the shadow though too. So,
Slightly off to the one side, just about half a millimeter.
yep. Let's see. Does that look better on the? Oh, that looks so much better. Cool. I'm gonna call that perfect, and we're gonna let that dry. Um, because again, if it's not perfect, I'll be here for 10
That's
minutes,
much
like
better.
trying to put it together.
No, that's perfect. No, that looks good.
So, pods. So these are the little like makeup of the pods for the back, and they have a little slot inside of here, and that slot interacts with the tab. Let me see if I can get it on camera. The tab right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add just a... We're going to add some
I
glue.
think your mic's cut out there a little bit, Rice.
Oh, sorry. I moved my face too far away from the mic. So we're going to put a little bit of glue there on the pylon, if you will. And we're going to take our thing. Take our... I forgot what I was calling it, but we're going to take the doohickey and we're gonna
There
just
you go,
gonna
doohickey.
push it
Yep.
on here and get that guy seated and gluing together. So in terms of the final position of this, because I know it can kind of rock back and forth a little bit, if you look straight down, um, the the pylon kind of follows the body line a little bit. Um, and if we look down on, oh, let me see if I can do it the same way on the camera. There
That's
we
so
go.
similar. I believe that's the leg.
As you can see, its angle is following the body line more or less. Um, so we'll call them legs then. So we'll do the other leg too while we're at it. Oops, there we go. And we'll put the other leg on here. Now, one of the things I didn't do on this model, and I don't know if I regret not doing it or not. I mean, I guess it's something I could add in the future. Is I didn't do guns for this, and I could probably add the guns after the fact. I mean, this model
You know,
did.
I didn't even notice that. Like,
Well, it is one of the
looks so
things.
good without them.
Well, it's one of the things where I in my early days of doing these models, I didn't add guns just because I liked the simplicity without them. Um, they clean the models up a little bit.
Hmm.
But as I got later and later, I started adding the guns just because they add a little bit more character. So, um, cool. So we have the two pylons attached on the bottom of this guy. And now we're going to start building up the pylon or the leg itself. Get some more beer here.
You're a clock.
Today's modeling session is brought to you by Pelican Brewing, Beak Bender. It's kind of just like a standard IPA, if you will. Nothing too special today. I forgot to go to the specialty beer store and pick up something for the occasion. So this is what I have in the fridge, and this is what I'm having to live with. Okay.
Such a problem.
It's such a problem. It's like, oh man, I have to drink normie beer.
Sad
So
face.
sad. Okay, so first piece we're gonna do is this guy right here. It's the top part here, and there's a little bit of lip here, or there's a lip on the part that you can bump into, and that's going to be our locator. Should be easy to find because it's got a little bit of a rounded edge on the top, right here, as you can see. So I'm gonna go ahead and smear this guy on. Now, one of the things to look out for is that it hangs off. If I hide that, you can see that it hangs off. And the idea with that is that it hangs off the thickness of the wood underneath, so it creates a clean corner. So it's something to keep in mind. On the top, you can see that it hangs off a little bit as well. So we're gonna eyeball this guy on there and hope for the best. I mean the pylon's a pretty complex looking piece, so you have a pretty hard time messing this up, to be entirely honest. So let's see. Let's get that on there. I think that's good enough. Okay, so we're going to do that. Now we're going to do the other top piece. So there's going to be a runner back here, and it's going to be this slightly more complex looking piece. It's got a little bit of jog on the back and the swoop cut at the end, this piece. So we're gonna glue that. We're gonna put that guy right here. And there we go. And that's gonna basically just follow the contour of the pylon or the leg. So as long as the 3D printed piece kind of lands somewhere in the center of that, you should be in good shape. All right, so Cool. So now that we have that profile going for us, now we got to do the bottom. And on the bottom of this, we have a. I'm gonna turn my mic to me. There we go. Now I shouldn't cut out. We have this kind of complex triangle-y piece. And we're just gonna attach that guy here to the bottom.
Hey, so much better there.
Yeah, now that it's facing where my face is.
Amazing how that works. No.
Okay, so in the leading edge of that. And we're going to put that guy right about there. So it's going to land. And again, you kind of make this like complex corner here. It's not, like I said, it's not super critical because, you know, at first glance, you're never really going to be able to see any errors. And then finally, we have this longer triangle piece, and that's going to live right here. So let's put some glue on here. And get it drying. And again, this should, oops, I pushed that. Whoops, I kind of upset where everything was. That's my bad. Oh, I kind of kicked it off of where it was supposed to be. So let's just kind of move this all around. There we go. There we go. Now we have a nice clean corner for our little pylon. And we're going to let that kind of dry for a second before we do the other side. And while we're doing that, we're going to add the little facade piece right here.
Is that like where your foot goes or something, I think?
I think it's just kind of like a random cover, to be entirely honest. I don't remember where your feet go. I don't have the.
No, I think they go back. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they go. But so there's a foot pedal buried in here that I can point at. So buried in here, there's a foot pedal right there, and that's where your feet go.
Yeah. Just adds a little character, I guess.
Oops, I should probably stop playing with this. Just let it dry. No, bad wooden parts. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry for a second, so I can flip it over and do the other side. But as you can see, we only have 5 parts left, and again, that's the little facade piece on the other side, and then our buildup of. Let's see, how did this go? Went something like that, this, and this. And we got that build-up parts on the other side, and then we're done.
Excellent. Anybody have any questions? Now's the time to ask.
Yeah, now that we're almost done. Someone's like, I got confused on the first part. Where did that go again?
Well,
could you take the model apart and show us that step again?
Yeah, that looks so good.
Yeah, so I actually like the blue on this one. It looks kind of crappy in the model, but I really like the way this blue looks in real life.
Yeah,
it's definitely sharp, and I have the Microtech on here, and then I have the Microtech logo right there.
You want to show those a little closer on the cam there? See that?
Yeah, so Microtech, and then I think that's like the UE. The advocacy, and then I think this is the UE like Navy, and then this was just like some random like gun manufacturer logo. I was like, whatever.
Gotta give them a spotlight. The little guy needs some love too.
So So we'll let this dry for a second more, just so I can.
So when you're burning those little logos, it's got to be very touchy, hey?
Not really. I mean, the laser cutter does it by itself. I just have to tell it where it is.
You just got to turn down like the strength of the
Yeah,
laser.
yeah. So yeah, you gotta turn it down so you don't like blow holes through it.
Yeah.
But it's a it's I don't like using it for. The laser cutter works good for the laser cutter can do really small detail, but small detail isn't good in wood
Mm-hmm.
because wood is not a. You look at the surface of wood and it's not like a flat sheet where you can make small details in. It's very bumpy and woody, and so that's why, like in a lot of the small details on this, it's not like crystal clear,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of the reason why I don't typically burn a lot of the. I don't engrave a lot of the smaller models that I do, but
Well, it does look, it looks good from a distance, right? And just you're displaying them.
yeah, we
That's
can. Well, I
you
mean,
can appreciate. You can still appreciate it.
yeah. Well, the models are something that I definitely intend to. They were always something that I meant to, put on a shelf and enjoy. You know,
Yeah.
desktop kind of things. I've had people ask me to do like RC airplane models before, and I'm like, I've never done those before, so no. All right, so let's flip this guy over and do the last 5 pieces. So, like we did on the other side, we're going to do this top piece first because it's got a little bit of a hook that we can latch into. Oh, I almost knocked my beer over.
That would be good. I want to spill that beer, man.
Soak the model in beer. I'm like, no.
Now it's a true Rice Maiden model.
All right, so we got this guy right there. And that looks about right. And then on the back, we have the little jagged edge piece. And that basically glues in the center of the leg, if you will. And we'll get that guy drying as well. And remember to take a look at it from this way and make sure that the pieces are drying roughly at the same spot. Because you could visually get it off a little bit if you aren't careful. That's why that piece slid. So, and I'm dealing with the fact that this glue doesn't adhere super well when it's wet, so to the 3D printing, and so I'm kind of constantly fidgeting with it to get it to go where I want. But
I guess the silver lining there is gives you a little bit of recovery time to.
That's true. That's definitely true. So we'll go underneath and we'll do this piece. And that can go right here. And then the final piece on the pylon, or the leg, is this guy. And we'll slap that guy right in there. And now that everything's wet, we can move it around, make adjustments as I see fit. Oh boy, I just... Help, I need an adult.
Adulting's hard today.
Yeah, adulting's hard. I'm having to build models. My Star Citizen model collection is so hard. So let's... Okay, I think that's roughly where it's... No, sorry. I pulled it off of camera. Like I said, you can fidget around with this for forever. But that looks roughly good enough. Oopsie, didn't do that. There we go. Okay, so as we look on the top here, you can see that those pieces more or less match. So now this side just needs to dry. And we have one more little facade piece that goes right here. And we call that, once that's on there, this model will be done.
Ready for the next DMR race.
Yeah. Maybe I should try to get CIG to officialize this and the Nox model, but you have to put magnets on the bottom of it, so it's like a maglev. But we do like Pinewood Derby downhill racing with them.
Oh, that's such a great idea. Oh, that's so good.
Get kids into Star Citizen with Pinewood Dragonfly and Nox competitions at a young age.
There you go. That would be a blast, Lou, for sure.
So here we go. There we go. Let's get this guy posed properly. So there's our finished Nox model. And let's see if I can get the model in the same position.
Looks very Noxy.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Wait a sec. Let's see if I can get it perfect. So there we go. We've successfully finished a Nox model. Like I mentioned, it's not super difficult, but it's a really good looking model. I really like it, and I made it the same scale as the Dragonfly, so you can put them side by side, and they complement each other. Very noxious. Ha 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 ha. A drink to you, good sir. But yeah, so we'll have to figure out what next model I want to put together on stream. Maybe I'll do a Dragonfly and we'll have them side by side so you can see. One of these days I want to. I started so. Actually, I take that back. I've gotten like 80% of the way through a Ranger. So I guess if I wanted to, I could finish the Ranger, and then I could build it on stream. Because it's the same scale as these guys are. So in theory, I could have a Dragonfly, a Ranger. Oh, I've already done the X1 too. So technically, I could have a Ranger, a Dragonfly, a Nox, an X1, and then if I stick to the same scale for ground vehicles, I guess the Tonk isn't the same scale. I could do a Cyclone, maybe an Ursa. I'm not a huge fan of the Ursa, so don't look forward to an Ursa model anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't. That would be hard to put together, I think.
Maybe I haven't really looked at the model to know. But oh well. And then eventually maybe a Ballista. Who knows? It's
those little missiles on there.
Give
Fire.
Give me, Citizen Luke. Give me 1 second then. Here we go. There we go. There's the Tonk. This is going to be model show and tell. So as you can see, the Tonk is not in the same scale as the Nox is, but still good nonetheless. We built it on the last stream.
Yeah, that was a good stream.
Yeah, no, I really
liked it. That was a 4-hour stream though.
Yeah, that was a long stream. But yeah, so we did an ox and we did a merlin. And the merlin went together pretty easily. The tongue took a while, but then again, I was talking a lot, so and had a lot to drink.
Oh,
hey,
hey, Shausen.
hey, Shazin, how's it going? Um, Glad of you to join us as we are kind of
Just wrapping up here.
yeah, we're wrapping up. We just finished the Nox, and it's drying, but it's more or less together at this point. Um, and yeah, so maybe what I'll do is I'll put a poll up on Twitter, and I'll put a poll up and see what people want me to build, because I think if I do, I mean, I'm not, this isn't going to become a full-time job for me, but or even anything remotely close to it. But maybe I'll shoot on doing like a stream a month, and next time I'll take more time to get guests and whatnot, and so maybe I'll get you and maybe Stim or something, and I'll put a poll up on Twitter, see what people want me to put together, and we'll just shoot the shit for a couple hours and put models together. Because
Very nice. Very nice.
otherwise it's me putting models together, like just sitting here, drinking my cares away and like having bad anime on in the background or something. So yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you for joining me. I know that you have places to go. Here in what, 45 minutes?
Yeah, I leave. Well, actually, about an hour in a bit. But yeah, I'm heading to my mom's for. So.
Yeah, and I head
But
out.
this was. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I head up to my folks tomorrow morning, so I've got the rest of the day to. I don't know, I might hop on and play Star Citizen here in a little bit, and
Very nice.
yeah, enjoy. I'm enjoying new missions, so I
Yeah,
need.
those were fun last night. Those missions we did.
Yeah, I need
Yep.
to. I need to do the 890 jump FPS mission. It's something I've had on my plate for a while, but I haven't gotten to it, if you will. So
Yeah, I'll
um,
have to do that one too sometime.
people keep saying it's on the difficult side, so I expect to die.
It's a group mission, I think. 2 or 3 people for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So all right, well, cool. Well, thank you, Emery, and yeah,
yeah, thanks. Thanks, Drew.
we can. So your Twitter handle is on the
EH
screen.
underscore
Um,
Spectre.
and I'm at Rice Maiden. You can follow me on Twitter. I will post the poll as well as kind of my idea for the next time I'm going to stream, and we'll see what comes of it. So thank you again, and we'll see you guys
Thanks
all next
everyone for
time.
joining us. See ya. Take care.